We're going to be watching some videos about Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. See how it goes.
Challenge something scary. Challenge accepted. Purdue University Global. Affordable online education for driven working adults. Apply now at bvvdv.edu.
No.
The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild left us with many unanswered questions, such as who the Zonai tribe were, the identity of the ancient hero, and why the Shrine of Resurrection was built. A lot of these mysteries are left unsolved by the end of the game, but with the newly announced sequel, that may no longer be the case. In fact, I believe that the three questions mentioned in the beginning of the script will play much more prominent roles in Breath of the Wild 2, while other plot points from the first game might not be as black and white as we thought. Enter the Prophecy, an event that has been highly debated within the Zelda community and involves one of the most mysterious characters from the game, a fortune teller that we don't know much about. All the information about them is given to us through Rome's cutscene atop the Temple of Time and some diary entries. It is what kickstarts the events of the Great Calamity, as well as many fan theories on the matter. Two of these have already been discussed on my channel several times. One theory being the possibility that the fortune teller was a Yiga spy setting up the Hyrulean royal family for failure. They made up a prophecy so that the technology could be dug up and then corrupted by Ganon. The other theory was that Zelda's mother was the fortune teller. The Masterworks book brings up this possibility, mentioning how women of the royal family have been known to have premonitions. It's an idea that had never been brought up before, but luckily I happen to have an entire video on that theory. The link to that episode will be in the upper right corner. But today's focus isn't on the identity of the fortune teller or their questionable intentions. It's on the prophecy itself. It's possible that throughout the first game, we were misled as to what it meant, making us, the player, absent-minded to the real threat of the kingdom and all that reside within it. And this relates to what can be found within the prophecy.
The signs of a resurrection of calamity Ganon are clear, and the power to oppose it lies dormant beneath the ground.
The legitimacy of this prophecy was questioned in another one of my videos, and it's what backed up the theory of it all being made up by a Yiga spy. When you fight Calamity Ganon, it's clear that no divine beasts were needed. Even the Master Sword can be avoided, as Calamity Ganon can be taken out with normal weapons. And only the Light Bow is needed for Dark Beast Ganon. Or you could also use the Twilight Bow or Ancient Arrows as a substitute. If we assume that the fortune teller wasn't a Yiga spy, then that means there would be no reason to falsify a prophecy. But it can't be true, since the Divine Beast's powers were never needed to defeat Calamity Ganon. They merely assisted the hero and princess as they defeated the ancient evil. It's also clear from Impa's story that the Master Sword and Sealing Power were needed in defeating Calamity Ganon. This is to be expected as other games follow a similar formula. But once again, the final boss within Breath of the Wild doesn't require the Master Sword. So, where does this leave us? Well, it's possible that the prophecy isn't referring to the Sheikah technology or even the Calamity Ganon we see in the first game. Pay close attention to what Rome says in the cutscene.
The signs of a resurrection of calamity Ganon are clear, and the power to oppose it lies dormant beneath the ground.
This naturally led to the excavation of the Divine Beasts and Guardians. The discovery of these buried relics backed up the fortune teller's claims. The royal family had every reason to believe that these were needed to defeat Ganon. But what if the prophecy wasn't referring to this technology? What if it was something else found underground? In the trailer for the sequel to Breath of the Wild, Link and Zelda are exploring underground ruins as if they are searching for something. Later on, they come across a corpse that is most likely Ganondorf. Aside from the obvious hints such as the Gerudo symbols and wall drawings, many others have connected him to the one we see in Twilight Princess. The one below Hyrule Castle appears to be sealed by some sort of disembodied hand, and coming from that hand is a green substance we never saw in the first game. If you recall from our last video, we made the connections of it to the parts of the Triforce. The malice representing the raw power used for evil intentions and is what corrupts the Sheikah technology. The blue being from said Sheikah technology and represents their wisdom. This is why Zelda is so fascinated with it in the game, as it's supposed to symbolize her peace. And this new color emanating from the hand, which by looks alone could connect with courage. It's the same color as the dragon Farosh that references Faror, the goddess of courage. And this same dragon is connected to the shrine quest within the Spring of Courage. And then there's the figure being sealed. If this is the real Ganondorf, then the Calamity Ganon seen in the first game would make more sense. The Master Sword was never needed to defeat him because it wasn't actually Ganon. Perhaps it was used as a decoy so that the Demon King's resurrection under the castle would be uninterrupted. I mentioned the idea of Calamity Ganon not actually being Ganon in my Malice theory. Given what we know of the substance, it's possible that the final boss was simply Sheikah technology fused with Malice. The boss does have the name Ganon in it. However, that doesn't mean much when the same word is used for the 4 other Blight bosses. I explain a lot more in the video, and given the recent information from the sequel, the theory has aged quite well. There are still things wrong with it, but a card to the video will be in the upper right corner. Now consider this. In the first game, it was optional as to whether you wanted to get the Master Sword or not. But in the sequel's trailer, Link is seen with it. Why would they do that? Unless Nintendo is trying to tell us that what was fought in the first game was only a puppet for a greater scheme. The Master Sword was never needed until this moment, where the real evil lurking under the castle is uncovered. By starting the game off with this weapon, perhaps Link was meant to absorb whatever magical powers that may have been bestowed upon him to finish off Ganon once and for all. However, the biggest piece of evidence hinting at what this power beneath the ground is, comes from the tapestry in the first game. Many people, including me, have questioned Nintendo's choice of design for the ancient hero. Since this is depicting an older version of the hero, it's strange that he would appear like this. The most odd detail being his hair color. We've never seen a hero with a red shade of hair before. This led to the belief that the ancient hero could have been Ganondorf. But given the story, that wouldn't make sense, as it would imply that Ganon was fighting himself. But there's another explanation for why he looks this way. By looking at the hints throughout the first game and the trailer for the sequel, it's possible that this green energy is related to the Zonai, the prehistoric tribe that mysteriously disappeared thousands of years ago, though their history has lived on through the worn-down structures and ruins, most of them featuring their signature symbol, one that we have never seen before in other games. But looking at this further, it's possible that there is more to the symbol than meets the eye. Their emblem takes the form of a spiral-like shape, and it appears all throughout Hyrule. In the trailer, we see a particular shot of the seal, but from a top-down perspective. It matches their emblem very closely, and if we flip the symbol, it becomes a near-perfect fit. All this time, they could have been hinting at the real threat under the castle. Getting back on topic, the ancient hero having red hair would make sense when you look at a certain gear's description from the game. In the 3 labyrinths, the player can acquire parts of the barbarian set. The term warlike tribe is used in all their descriptions. Not only that, but it's mentioned that they resided from the Faron region. This, along with other information, heavily implies that this tribe is the Zonai, and it makes the hero's depiction on the tapestry a lot more believable, as the barbarian headgear also has red hair. Their home, the Zonai ruins, is also located very close to the Spring of Courage, and they are thought to have worshipped a water dragon, as mentioned in Masterworks. Farosh is also the only dragon that appears from the water, the 2 areas being Lake Hylia and the runs within the Faron region. These all connect the Zonai to the strange green magic from the seal, and another part of the section in Masterworks goes deeper into this. The Zonai themselves are spoken of in hushed whispers of strong magic wielders who vanished suddenly thousands of years ago. If this third element is magic that somehow originated from this tribe, it would make sense in terms of the story. We would have 3 different forms of energy, one that may have been created from raw emotion and anger, the other being man-made through scientific discoveries, and the third representing actual magic. However, the biggest piece of evidence proving that the power dormant isn't the Sheikah technology, but whatever power is behind the seal, comes from the tapestry. We've already connected the ancient hero to the Zonai, and the green energy possibly being magic. If you remember from the trailer, the seal is in the form of a hand covering a part of the corpse, which appears to be leaking out malice. And in another shot, Link presumably absorbs some of this energy into his right hand. Now look at the ancient hero depicted in the tapestry. The hand holding up the Master Sword is a strange greenish-yellow color. Not only does this bear resemblance to what we see happen in the trailer, but Link is right-handed in this game. In other words, the same hand that gets affected by the green energy. This could very well be the power mentioned by Rome, and why we were all fooled in the first game. Now, you might say that this doesn't make sense, considering the legend only mentioned the princess's sealing power as well as the hero with the sword that seals the darkness. But let's look at it from a different perspective. The hand that presumably has this magical power from the trailer is the same one that wields the Master Sword. The legendary sword has also been theorized to be much weaker compared to other titles in the series, as it will run out of energy after too many uses. Now that I think about it, that's an interesting use of words. It has run out of energy. Wait a minute. Is that the final clue to this mystery? In the story 10,000 years ago, it's clear that one of the powers needed was the Master Sword. But looking at the current time of Breath of the Wild, it's hard to believe that, as the blade is extremely frail. The biggest plot hole in this theory was the legend 10,000 years ago, and that the power mentioned by Rome had to be the divine beasts. This is because they were able to defeat Ganon with 3 different things: the Sheikah technology, Zelda's sealing power, and the Master Sword. And despite the first not being needed to seal him away, they acted as support for the hero so that Ganon could be beaten. But there is one thing within the legend that we never saw in the first game: the Master Sword.